What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, as it turns out, last week was huge for Sony Spider-Verse, not only dropping the final trailer for Venom 3 with some huge reveals of its own, but also the news that destined Daniel Krepin would be stepping up to direct Spider-Man 4. Now, prior to last week, we thought we had a pretty good beat on what Spider-Man 4 would and could be, taking notes from the end of No Way Home, showing us his disconnect from the rest of the MCU. Industry insiders indicated it would be a grounded Spider-Man story. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man teaming up with Daredevil to face off against Kingpin. But then came the rumors that things had changed drastically because of the placement now of Spider-Man 4 squarely between the two Avengers films at the height of the Multiverse saga, and it seems as though Sony pressed for a Multiverse movie and got it. Well, we have a reliable industry insider coming through with a huge article earlier this week, and with some contextual clues have now put it all together for the plot of Spider-Man 4. Suffice it to say, promises to be way bigger than just a grounded story. We're breaking it all down, all the new news, details, and plot for Spider-Man 4, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do, so if that sort of thing's for you, hit the sub button, leave a comment down below. That automatically enters you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. All you gotta do, hit the sub button, leave a comment if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So we're gonna start with the latest details coming from industry insider Alex Perez over on the editorial of The Cosmic Circus under an article he dropped just days ago with the headline, "What I Heard About Spider-Man 4, Venom and Null," where he goes on to report, quote, "Initially, Marvel Studios wanted to develop a street-level story from this upcoming installment of Spider-Man, having him team up with Daredevil to take on Wilson Fisk following the events of Daredevil Born Again. Multiple villains from Spider-Man's lore were also in consideration for the plot of this film. New villains like Mr. Negative, Spencer Smythe, as well as some old revamped villains like Scorpion and even Aaron Davis' Prowler were considered as part of this movie. Marvel still intends to tell this story, but may have to wait a bit longer. So if the street-level story is being pushed back, what story would take its place? Recently, I heard that the upcoming Spider-Man film might pit Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom together, with Venom: The Last Dance setting up the interaction. By the end of Venom: The Last Dance, we may see Eddie Brock cross over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with some sources indicating that the recent reshoots in NYC for Venom: The Last Dance have to do with that, but that remains unconfirmed for now. Not only that, but I'm hearing that the potential villain for this film would be Null, who is seeking to enshroud the entire multiverse in darkness following its discovery. It's important to note that the Venom symbiote is currently in two different universes, Sonyverse and the MCU. The link may spark Null to seek out Venom in 616 and be on a mission to engulf the multiverse in darkness. Now, there's two things I want to say to contextualize this report. Number one, we've been saying basically since December of 2020 that Sony was eventually going to team up Tom Hardy's Venom with Tom Holland's Peter Parker, because that's how they make the most money at the box office, combining billion-dollar franchises. It was always the goal, and because they have very little negotiating power with Marvel Studios as it stands to the use of Peter Parker, I think really what worked in their favor more than anything was holding out the way they did to make this next installment. Now, you can say it's because they couldn't get their ducks in a row, but I actually think it may have been some foresight on the side of Sony, knowing that the longer they held out, the more Marvel Studios couldn't hold together ground-level stories for their multiverse saga. We've even got 2025 movies like the Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World coming out, where we're still going to get grounded stories, but by the time this comes out in 2026, that just wouldn't have made sense unless it was a prequel. And as I've maintained at the channel since day one, no one, including Sony, wants to take the agency out of their story by releasing a prequel in between the two Avengers films. But just saying that Tom Hardy's Venom would travel to the 616 as a consequence of what happens in Venom: The Last Dance seems like it leaves a ton of question marks for why and how that would work, what the plot for Spider-Man 4 would be, and how it ties to two very confusing post-credit scenes that need a lot of context in Venom 2 and Spider-Man: No Way Home. But in truth, it may not be that complicated, and Sony may have actually answered both of those questions. It's just that those post-credit scenes lacked context until now, with the pieces that have been more clear to show us how Sony was going to line it all up. But at the end of Spider-Man: No Way Home, and the whole impetus for Doctor Strange casting that spell so that everybody could forget Peter Parker, was the problem with the multiverse up in the sky, where we saw a ton of Spider-Man villains that looked like they were imminently about to cross over. Now, easily among them could have been Null, now witnessing this Spider-Man, this Peter Parker, with this sort of access to the multiverse. when Tom Hardy's Venom in this most recent trailer explains that Null has something that he wants, that's most likely access to the Venom hive mind. And if you missed our previous video explaining Null's origin and breaking down that Easter egg in the trailer, I suggest you watch it. It'll be linked at the end of this because it explains why Null is currently trapped in the Throne World. But with access to the hive mind that Venom has, he can free himself from Throne World. And we know that because with that same tapping into the hive mind came seemingly Venom and Tom Hardy over to the 616. We don't know if that's still directly tied to Spider-Man or something happening independently, but one seemed to lead to the other. So Venom hive mind equals being able to escape Throne World for Null. But access to the symbiote joining with Spider-Man, which would explain why they left a piece of the symbiote specifically in the 616, would give him access to what we saw explained in the most recent Spider-Verse movie. The Spider-Verse itself would give him even further access to the multiverse to enact this plan that Alex Perez is talking about, where he can enshroud the multiverse in darkness. So he wants Eddie Brock and Venom's access to the hive mind to escape Throne World. And then he wants the symbiote, that little piece that was left over in the 616 that we presume is still there, to bond with Tom Holland's Peter Parker, because that gives him access to the Spider-Verse in order to again enshroud the multiverse in darkness. And look, I'm not trying to give Sony a pass because it's very clear by some of their missteps already with their editing for some of the Spider-Man movies, with the post-credit scene for Morbius, not explaining certain pieces of what the heck is going on with their Spider-Verse, and just the release of Madam Web in general. They haven't had a clear picture of what's going on either. I'm not trying to explain that away, but I mean, as far as leading into a film and actually giving us some actual on-ramp instead of some of the things that Marvel Studios has done, say, in the last 2 years, this actually fits rather nicely. Doesn't really need much more in the way of an explainer once they tie it all together. And like I said, from day one, it's always been Tom Hardy and Tom Holland. That's how Sony sees the biggest box office going down. And really, to be fair, do you blame them? They're trying to outdo themselves, or at least match what happened with Spider-Man No Way Home, which may be impossible. You can also see why, when given that task, them focusing on a ground level story may have been impossible. I still say if they had done that ground level story with Daredevil, it would have made $1 billion. Everybody loves Charlie Cox's Daredevil, but hey, look, Sony, I get it, and quite honestly, now knowing that Null could be the ultimate villain of Spider-Man 4, it promises to be an absolutely insane movie. I'm here for it. You guys let me know all your thoughts down below, if I'm onto something here with the plot, if you guys think that this is going to be awesome, or you would have rathered that ground level story. Don't worry, we're still going to get street level Spider-Man at some point, just further down the road, at least according to this report. Let me know all your thoughts down below quickly. We are still giving away PlayStation 5s at the channel. The next one is for Agatha All Along. We're also bringing back the watch parties in a couple of days for the double header. Fingers crossed the show is going to be good. Either way, if you want to be entered to win, all the same rules will apply. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes with original music under the name Allfires. Guys, thanks for checking out the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.